Alleluia, Alleluia, Alleluia. The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Jesus spoke the following parable to some people who prided themselves on being virtuous and despised everyone else. Two men went up to the temple to pray, one a Pharisee, the other a tax collector. The Pharisee stood there and said this prayer to himself: I thank you, God, that I am not grasping, unjust, adulterous like the rest of mankind, and particularly that I am not like this tax collector here. I fast twice a week, I pay tithes on all I get. The tax collector stood some distance away, not daring even to raise his eyes to heaven. But he beat his breast and said, God, be merciful to me, a sinner. This man, I tell you, went home again at rights with God. The other did not. For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, but the man who humbles himself will be exalted. The Gospel of the Lord. With this parable that Jesus is telling us, he is sort of instructing us how our attitude toward God should be, and also our attitude with each other. This is what it's all about, the Word of God today. And he brings as an example two personalities, two figures quite popular in the time of Jesus. The Pharisee, who knew the laws, who taught people what they had to do, but who boasted all the time that they were righteous people, that they never make mistakes, and they were leaders of the people, and they were also pointing their fingers to others and accusing others, and maybe not observing all the rules that they have been saying that they did. On the other hand, we have the tax collector. The tax collector was a group of men hired by the Romans at the time of Jesus, who occupied the country, to collect tithes, to collect taxes from the poor people. And these were hated people by the Palestinians, by the Jews at the time, because the little money that they had to pay for them, and then maybe they also robbed them of their revenue. So we have two figures in contrast. Although the Pharisees spoke of the law and righteousness, they were not that respected in the sense that they can go in front of God to say, I have never sinned. And what should be our attitude with God? First of all, we have to consider ourselves in front of God as sinners, all of us. The Pope, me, every single person here on earth. When we speak to God, we need to consider ourselves as sinners. We are striving. We are running a race. As Timothy, St. Paul wrote to Timothy, I have fought the good fight to the end. This is Paul speaking to Timothy. I have run the race to the finish. We are running a race, but it has to be to the finish. The life of faith is a race, and we are fighting all the time against evil, against selfishness, against malevolence, against hatred that sometimes we encounter in the world around us. But we, in front of God, although we are fighting against this, we cannot pretend that we are without sin, or that we have no flaws and we have no defects in life. On the other hand, the tax collector acknowledged his sin in front of the people and in front of God, that he was robbing the people. And Jesus, not only on this occasion by this parable, but several times, he also chose one of his apostles, disciples, to be, who was a tax collector, Matthew. He chose him to be his disciple. So he had this particular attention to the sinner. We are all sinners, but the important thing is that in front of God we acknowledge our sins. And how a better world we would live in if we consider ourselves to each other humbly, asking forgiveness all the time when we cause pain to each other. We should not consider ourselves better than others, or gossip about others, or point our fingers against others, whom we judge several often unjustly. We have to leave the judgment to God, because He knows the best and He is the ultimate judgment of us all. We only have to run our race, and the race of faith that we have been called and privileged to do and take part, do our best and leave the rest to God, in humility and in steadfastness and in courage, so that we continue to acknowledge the great love that God has for each one of us. Let's read this reflection, this prayer that we have on the screen. God, we stand before you as your creation and as your children. Help us to open our hearts to you and to be your children, both in name and in deed. Help us to be true to you, just as you have been true to us. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.